This is so annoying. I hate having to take care of sick people. That's what I heard my girlfriend Paisley tell her sister on the phone while I was collapsed on the hotel bathroom floor with a 104-degree fever. So I called my Uncle Buck to come get me, and when he saw what I'd put myself through for someone who saw me as a burden, he loaded me in his truck without saying a word to her. I'm Levi, 29, been running our family cattle operation here in East Texas since my dad passed 5 years ago. We've got about 200 head spread across 800 acres, and it's honest work that keeps me busy most days. My girlfriend Paisley, 25, works as an event coordinator for some fancy wedding company up in Dallas. We'd been together about 8 months when COVID hit us hard in early 2021. This was back when the vaccines were still hard to get in rural areas, and our little county hospital was overwhelmed. Paisley had come down to the ranch for a long weekend in February when she started feeling rough. At first we thought it was just a cold, but when her fever spiked to 102 and she lost her sense of taste, we knew what we were dealing with. The problem was her parents back in Dallas. Both in their 60s with health issues, and she'd been staying with them between apartment leases. No way she could go home and risk exposing them. The nearest hotel that would take someone with COVID symptoms was 45 minutes away, and even then, most places were turning folks away. "I can't stay here and get you sick," she said, sitting on my couch wrapped in blankets and shivering despite the fever. "You're not going anywhere," I told her. "We'll figure something out." That's when I did something that probably sounds crazy to city folks. I drove to the nearest town with a decent hotel place called the Pineview in about 40 minutes south and rented a room for a week. Told them it was for COVID isolation, slipped the desk clerk an extra $100 to make sure housekeeping stayed away, and basically set up a field hospital. But here's where it got expensive and desperate. This was during that shortage when you couldn't find basic medicine anywhere. Made 2 long runs that first day alone. Fever medicine, Gatorade, soup, throat lozenges. Most local places were cleaned out, so I had to drive to the next county over. Finally found some children's liquid Tylenol at a Walgreens about an hour and a half away, $40 for a tiny bottle that would normally cost $8. Had to go back out that evening for a humidifier and extra pillows when her breathing got worse. Spent close to $600 just getting basic supplies because everything was marked up or out of stock. Paisley was hit hard. Fever that wouldn't break, cough that sounded like it was tearing her lungs apart, couldn't keep food down for the first 2 days. I stayed in that hotel room with her, sleeping maybe 30 minutes at a time, checking her temperature every 2 hours, making sure she stayed hydrated. Day 2, I started feeling it. That scratchy throat feeling, then the body aches. But Paisley was still so sick and there wasn't anybody else. Her parents couldn't come down. My Uncle Buck was dealing with his own COVID exposure from a neighbor, and the local hospital was turning away anyone who wasn't critical. So I kept quiet about my symptoms. Kept bringing her ice chips when the fever got bad, helped her to the bathroom when she was too weak to walk steady, stayed up all night listening to her breathing to make sure it didn't get worse. By day 3, I was running my own fever but hiding it. Took Tylenol when she was sleeping, splashed cold water on my face to keep the flush down. The medicine we had was for her, she needed it more than I did, and there wasn't enough for both of us anyway. Day 4, she started turning the corner. Fever broke, appetite came back a little, could sit up and hold a conversation. I was getting worse, but seeing her improve made it worth it. That's what you do for someone you love, right? You make sure they're okay first. Day 5 was when everything changed, but I need to explain what led up to it first. Paisley was feeling well enough to be on her phone, talking to friends and family, complaining about being cooped up. I was barely functioning, fever climbing, dizzy when I stood up, but still making sure she had fresh water, bringing her food from the vending machines, keeping the room clean. "You look terrible," she said that afternoon like she was just noticing. "I'm fine," I lied, "just tired." "Well, don't get too close. I'm finally feeling better and don't want a relapse or any complications." That night my fever spiked to 104. I remember trying to get to the bathroom and everything going sideways. Woke up on the floor with Paisley standing over me looking annoyed rather than worried. But what I heard next, when she thought I was unconscious again, That's what broke something in me that I don't think will ever heal the same way. She was on the phone with her sister, and her exact words were, "This is so annoying. I hate having to take care of sick people. I just want to go home." I'd spent 5 days destroying my own health to nurse her back from the worst illness of her life, and the moment I needed help, I was an inconvenience. Called Uncle Buck from that bathroom floor. He'd just gotten his negative test back that morning after his own quarantine, so he could finally help. Told him where I was and that I needed a ride home. Didn't explain much, just said I was sick and needed family. Buck drove about 90 minutes round trip to get me. When he walked into that hotel room and saw the state I was in, then looked at Paisley sitting on the bed looking perfectly healthy and annoyed, I saw something change in his face. "You ready to go, son?" was all he said. I packed my stuff while Paisley asked why I was leaving, said she still needed a few more days to make sure she was completely better. Told her she could keep the room through the week I'd paid for, but I was done. The drive home was quiet. Buck didn't ask questions, just got me back to the ranch and into my own bed. Brought me soup and medicine and sat with me while I slept off the worst of it. It's been 2 weeks since then. Paisley's been calling and texting, saying she doesn't understand why I'm upset, that she was still recovering and couldn't take care of a sick person. Says I'm being dramatic and holding a grudge over something she said when she was still not thinking clearly. But here's what's eating at me: I don't think she was unclear about anything. I think that phone call was the first honest thing she'd said in 5 days. How do you love someone who sees your sacrifice as an inconvenience? How do you come back from hearing that your collapse was annoying rather than concerning? Update 1: been getting a lot of messages asking how I'm doing. Physically, I'm better. Fever broke yesterday, and I can get through morning chores without feeling like I'm gonna pass out. Buck's been checking on me twice a day, bringing groceries and making sure I'm eating. That's what family does. Emotionally, I'm still processing everything. Had some time to think while I was recovering, and I keep coming back to patterns I should have noticed before. Let me tell you about the weeks leading up to her getting sick, because maybe it'll help explain why that phone call hit so hard. Paisley had been staying at the ranch more often lately, said she loved the peace and quiet compared to Dallas. I enjoyed having her around, teaching her about ranch life, sharing that part of my world with her. But looking back, I realized what I thought was sharing was actually just me doing everything while she watched. When she was here, I'd get up at 5 a.m. like always to check the cattle, fix fence, handle the morning routine. She'd sleep until 9 or 10, then expect breakfast ready when she woke up. I'd cook, clean up, then head back out for afternoon work. Come in dusty and tired, and she'd want me to shower and drive her into town for dinner because there's nothing to do out here. I thought I was being a good boyfriend. Turns out I was being a convenience. The weekend before she got sick, we'd planned to go to a cattle auction in the next county. I'd been looking forward to it, wanted to show her that side of the business, maybe find a good bull for breeding season. Saturday morning came, and she decided she didn't want to get up early and stand around looking at smelly cows all day. So I stayed home. Missed an auction I'd been planning for months because she wanted to sleep in and hang around the house. When I mentioned being disappointed, she said I was being selfish for expecting her to enjoy boring ranch stuff. Sunday, she wanted to drive to Tyler to go shopping. 3 hours round trip, plus however long in stores looking at clothes she probably wouldn't buy. I'd been planning to fix a gate that'd been giving me trouble for weeks, but she said we never did anything fun together. So we went shopping. Spent the whole day in stores while I carried her bags and nodded when she asked how things looked. Got home after dark, too tired to fix the gate, which meant starting the week behind on ranch work. I'm not saying she was intentionally manipulative. I think she genuinely didn't understand that I had responsibilities beyond entertaining her. But the pattern was clear: her wants always came first, and my needs were negotiable. During those 5 days in the hotel, I thought I was showing her love through sacrifice. Putting her health above mine, making sure she had everything she needed, staying up nights to monitor her condition. In my mind, that's what partnership looked like: taking care of each other when life gets hard. But when the roles flipped and I was the one who needed care, suddenly I was an inconvenience, a burden. Something annoying she had to deal with instead of someone she wanted to help get better. Buck came by yesterday evening, found me sitting on the porch staring at nothing particular. He's not much for long conversations, but he's got a way of cutting straight to the heart of things. "You figure out what you're gonna do about that girl?" he asked, settling into the other chair. "Don't know. She keeps calling, saying I'm being unfair." "Unfair how?" "Says she was still sick and couldn't take care of me properly, that I should understand she wasn't at full strength yet." Buck was quiet for a long moment. "When your daddy got pneumonia that last winter, your mama was getting over the flu herself. You remember that?" I did. Dad had been in bad shape, and Mom was still weak from being sick the week before. "She slept on the floor next to his bed for 3 nights, Buck continued. "Fed him soup with a spoon, helped him to the bathroom, called the doctor every few hours. Wasn't at full strength, but that didn't matter when someone she loved needed help. That's different. They were married. Son, love ain't about papers. It's about what you do when somebody's down and can't get back up on their own." Paisley called again this morning. Wanted to know when I was coming to get her from the hotel, said she was ready to come back to the ranch. When I told her I thought we needed some space to figure things out, she got upset. "You're really going to throw away our relationship over something I said when I was barely recovered from COVID?" "It's not what you said, Paisley. It's what it showed me about how you see me. I don't understand what that means." And that might be the biggest problem. She genuinely doesn't understand why I'd be hurt by being called an inconvenience when I was collapsed on a bathroom floor. In her world, maybe that's just how you talk about sick people, as problems to be managed rather than people to be cared for. I keep thinking about something my grandmother used to say. "You can tell everything about a person's heart by how they treat you when you can't do anything for them." For 5 days, I couldn't do anything for Paisley except be sick in the same room. And what I learned is that a sick version of me is apparently just annoying. Don't know where we go from here. Part of me wonders if I'm being too hard on her, expecting too much. But another part of me knows that if the situation was reversed, if I'd been getting better and she was the one collapsed on the bathroom floor, I'd have been terrified, not annoyed. Maybe that's the difference right there. Update 2, something happened yesterday that put everything in perspective. Had to take one of my heifers to the vet. She'd been favoring her left front leg, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't serious. Doctor Sarah Caldwell runs the large animal practice here. Been taking care of our cattle since she moved back from A&M 3 years ago. Sarah's good people. Grew up on a ranch about 20 miles north, understands the work and doesn't talk down to you like some vets do. She examined the heifer, said it was just a minor strain, nothing that wouldn't heal with rest and some anti-inflammatory. While she was writing up the treatment plan, I started feeling dizzy. Nothing major, just that lightheaded feeling you get when you stand up too fast. But I guess I swayed a little because Sarah looked up from her clipboard with concern. "You feeling all right, Levi? You look a little pale." "Just tired," I said, which was mostly true. Been having trouble sleeping since everything went down with Paisley. Sarah set down her clipboard and really looked at me. "When's the last time you had a decent meal? You've lost weight." Before I could answer, she was guiding me to a chair in her office, telling me to sit down while she finished with the heifer. Brought me a bottle of water and made me drink the whole thing while she talked. "Buck mentioned you'd been sick. COVID." I nodded, not really wanting to get into details. "That can take a lot out of you, especially if you don't rest properly during recovery. You've been taking care of yourself." It was such a simple question, but something about the way she asked it, like my well-being actually mattered to her, made my throat tight. I realized it had been weeks since anyone had asked how I was doing in a way that expected an honest answer. "Getting by," I managed. "That's not what I asked." She pulled up a chair across from me. "Have you been eating regular meals, getting enough sleep, taking time to recover properly?" The honest answer was no. Since getting back from that hotel, I'd been throwing myself into ranch work, trying to catch up on everything I'd missed during those 5 days. Getting up earlier, staying out later, pushing through the fatigue because that's what you do when cattle depend on you. "Ranch doesn't run itself," I said. "Ranch won't run at all if you collapse from exhaustion. When's the last time you took a day off?" I couldn't remember. Probably before Paisley got sick, maybe longer. Sarah was quiet for a moment, then asked the question that broke something loose in my chest. Is anyone helping you through this? Recovery, I mean. After being that sick? The simple answer was no. Buck checked on me, brought groceries, made sure I wasn't dead. But no one was making sure I rested, ate properly, took care of myself the way I'd taken care of Paisley. No one was monitoring my recovery or worried about me pushing too hard too soon. I'm fine, I said, because that's what you say. Levi. Her voice was gentle but firm. You nearly passed out in my office. That's not fine. She insisted on taking my temperature and blood pressure, said my readings were concerning for someone who should be fully recovered by now. Made me promise to take it easy for the rest of the week, and when I started to protest about ranch work, she cut me off. Buck's been ranching for 30 years. Pretty sure he can help you catch up on anything urgent. Then she did something that caught me completely off guard. She packed up a container of soup from her lunch and handed it to me. Leftover chicken and dumplings. Heat it up when you get home and eat the whole thing. It was such a small gesture, but sitting in my truck afterward, I realized it was the first time since getting sick that someone had actively tried to take care of me instead of waiting for me to take care of them. That evening, Paisley called again. She'd checked out of the hotel finally and was back in Dallas, staying with a friend since her parents were still nervous about exposure. I've been thinking about us, she said. Maybe we just need to put this whole thing behind us and start fresh. Put what behind us? The drama from when we were both sick. I know you're upset about something I said, but we were both not thinking clearly. COVID messes with your brain, you know. I thought about Sarah asking if anyone was helping me recover, about Buck driving 4 hours to get me without asking questions, about how different it felt to have someone worry about my well-being versus just expecting me to manage everyone else's. Paisley, when you were sick, how did I take care of you? What do you mean? I mean specifically, what did I do for you during those 5 days? She was quiet for a moment. You brought me medicine and food, stayed with me. I drove 4 hours round trip to find Tylenol when you needed it. I checked your temperature every 2 hours for 5 straight days. I slept 30 minutes at a time to make sure you were breathing okay. I gave you the last of the fever medicine when I was getting sick myself. Okay. When I collapsed, what did you do for me? Another pause. I called your uncle when you asked me to. That's it. What else was I supposed to do? I don't know anything about taking care of sick people. But you didn't try to learn, you didn't ask what I needed or how you could help, you called me an inconvenience. I was still recovering. So was I when I took care of you. The silence stretched between us. Finally, she said, I don't think I'm cut out for this kind of relationship. What kind? The kind where you keep track of everything and make me feel guilty for not being as nurturing as you are. She was right, but not in the way she meant. She wasn't cut out for the kind of relationship where both people take care of each other, where love means showing up when someone needs you, even when it's inconvenient. Yeah, I said quietly. I don't think you are either. We hung up without really saying goodbye. No anger, no dramatic declarations. Just the quiet recognition that we wanted different things from love. This morning, Sarah texted asking how I was feeling and reminding me to take it easy today. Such a simple check-in, but it made me realize what I'd been missing with Paisley, the feeling that someone actually cared about my well-being instead of just what I could do for them. Buck's coming by later to help with some fence repair I've been putting off. Says we'll work at whatever pace feels right and stop when I need to rest. That's what real support looks like. Starting to understand that love isn't just about what you're willing to sacrifice for someone. It's about finding someone who hates to see you sacrifice unnecessarily. Final update first off, I'm fully recovered health-wise. Took longer than I expected. Turns out I'd pushed myself harder during that COVID recovery than I realized. Buck made me go back to Sarah for a follow-up appointment, and she read me the riot act about not taking recovery seriously enough. Made me promise to actually rest when I said I was resting. The ranch is doing well. Spring calving season went smooth, and we ended up with 18 healthy calves. Buck's been talking about expanding the operation, maybe leasing some additional pasture land from the neighbor. It's good to have plans that look forward instead of just trying to keep up. As for Paisley, we're done. No big dramatic breakup, no fight, just a quiet acknowledgement that we weren't right for each other. She's seeing someone new, a banker from Dallas who, according to mutual friends, hires a cleaning service and orders takeout most nights. probably a better fit for her lifestyle. The bigger change is that I've been spending time with Sarah. Nothing rushed or dramatic, just coffee after vet visits that turned into dinner invitations that turned into realizing we enjoy each other's company. She gets the ranch life, understands the work, and doesn't see it as something she needs to be entertained around. Last month I caught a minor cold, nothing serious, just the usual spring sniffles. Sarah showed up at my door with homemade soup and insisted on checking my temperature even though I kept saying it was just a cold. "I don't care if it's just sniffles," she said, unpacking what looked like enough food for a week. "You're terrible at taking care of yourself when you're sick." Watching her fuss over a basic cold made me understand something I'd missed before. When someone loves you, your discomfort becomes their concern. They don't see caring for you as an inconvenience, they see it as a privilege. The contrast with Paisley couldn't be sharper. Where Paisley saw my needs as competition for her comfort, Sarah sees them as opportunities to show care. Where Paisley waited for me to serve her, Sarah looks for ways we can take care of each other. It's not that Sarah's perfect or that our relationship doesn't have challenges. But when I mentioned I was nervous about getting close to someone again after what happened, she said something that stuck with me. "The right person doesn't make you afraid to need them." She's right. With Paisley, I learned to hide my needs because expressing them made me a burden. With Sarah, I'm learning that having needs doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Yesterday, we were working cattle together. Sarah was here to check on a bull that's been looking sluggish, and I was moving the herd into a different pasture. Around noon, she called a break and made us both sit in the shade with cold drinks. "You don't have to stop working just because I need a break," I told her. "I'm not stopping for me," she said. "I'm stopping for you. You've been pushing hard all morning and haven't had water in 2 hours." That's the difference. Paisley would have expected me to work through heat and dehydration to meet her schedule. Sarah notices when I need care and makes sure I get it, even when I don't ask. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out now, or that I don't still struggle with asking for help when I need it. Growing up believing that love means sacrificing everything doesn't change overnight. But I'm learning to recognize the difference between someone who appreciates your sacrifice and someone who expects it. Buck summed it up best last week when Sarah was here helping with some equipment repairs. We were sitting on the porch after dinner, watching her teach one of the barn cats to fetch, and he said, "That's a woman who sees you as someone worth taking care of, not someone whose job it is to take care of her." He's right. With Paisley, I was valuable for what I could provide. With Sarah, I'm valuable for who I am, including the parts that sometimes need help. The ranch is quiet tonight. Sarah's at her place catching up on paperwork, Buck's home with his own cattle, and I'm sitting here thinking about how different everything feels compared to 6 months ago. Not perfect, but honest. Not always easy, but reciprocal. That's all I really wanted to share. Thanks to everyone who sent support during the worst of it. Sometimes it takes an outside perspective to help you see what's right in front of you. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, the right person doesn't see your needs as inconvenience. They see them as a chance to love you better.